Today, I want to talk about how to teach our children gratitude because that can be tricky in this give me world. It can be a challenge sometimes to teach children how to be grateful for the things they have and what they're capable of.
Children are great by their very nature, and we have the privilege and responsibility of raising them. It can be challenging at times. Let's talk about it.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Armstrong. I'm a general and a special education teacher. I homeschooled my own children for 5 years, and the things that I talk about are those things that I've researched, studied, applied, both kind of in the academic world and also in the alternative world, finding things that actually work. And so I am going to talk a little bit today about teaching our children gratitude. So, the number one way to teach children anything, and that includes gratitude, is to be an example of having gratitude ourselves. It is a way of thinking, a way of processing experiences and connections that uh, isn't necessarily taught by, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to give you a lesson. This is how you're going to be grateful. But it is um, it is a mindset. It is when we can program our thinking into that way where it's a way of life that we just demonstrate it. It's just part of who we are. That will have the biggest influence on our children having gratitude. And coming from someone who felt very stuck, I felt stuck, like I couldn't get what I wanted out of life. I couldn't improve. I was I was depressed and anxious, and I had been to varying degrees for years. And it even came to a point where one Sunday I stayed home from church and seriously contemplated suicide. That's how ungrateful I was. And there's a lot that's mixed up into that. But that gratitude is huge. And there's so much research out there. But from where I was and where perhaps you might be or someone you love might be, um, when we're in that way, we don't know how to be grateful. I'd never learned that. And I've heard, oh, be grateful, have a great gratitude journal, have these things. But saying I need to do this or it's beneficial to do this didn't help me to change my brain to let go of the old patterns I had. And those old patterns I had because somewhere in my childhood, and we don't always have to know where or when or why we picked it up. We just know that we picked it up and we formed these connections. The neurons and everything in our brain made this connection that gave my brain a reward. It gets a neurochemical reward for any of the feelings we have, whether they're the ones we want to hang out in or not. My brain was getting a reward for that pattern that it picked up as a child, and I didn't get to choose. And so it wasn't learning specifically about gratitude that made the difference for me. It was about learning to disconnect patterns that I had and then attach them in a way that I wanted, that then allowed me to begin to experience gratitude, to experience joy, because that gratitude is that precursor to joy. And if we don't have gratitude, then it's really, really hard. I don't know of anybody who doesn't have gratitude and can feel joy. And when we have that and when we feel that, uh, our children begin to pick up that pattern. And that's where we want, right? Don't we want joy for our children? So we want that gratitude. And it's not an expectation. Oh, I did this for you. Therefore, you must be grateful to me or must be grateful for what I gave you. When we come with expectations of this is how my children has to respond, this is how they're supposed to respond, I can't feel joy unless my children respond this way, then that's trying to control, trying to manipulate. That's not sharing that idea of gratitude with them, because there's no forcing gratitude. But could we demonstrate it? Can we demonstrate in our gratitude for them? Can we demonstrate in our gratitude for the situation we're in? And guess what? It doesn't matter how difficult your situation is. If you're homeless, if you're recently divorced, if you didn't get to spend a holiday with your kids, if no matter if the fire took out your home or the floods or the earthquakes, it doesn't matter. Gratitude can be in any situation. When you learn to disconnect or reconnect, or maybe you've had that opportunity to have that connection already in your life. But when we learn to look for those, then we can find it anywhere. And yes, I did see the movie Pollyanna as a child, and I still enjoy that one. So if if that's a movie that you have watched, then it is very much that way. She asks a question pretty much, and questions can really genuine, honest questions where we're seeking an answer and not just using a question to complain, can really help switch our brain from perhaps old patterns of, being ungrateful and just seeing things that are wrong in our lives, to beginning and then strengthening the gratitude, and that what is there to be grateful for. And again, it can be a complaint, what is there to be grateful for, or it can be what has come into my life because of this challenge, or because of this beautiful child, or because of this situation that I had no idea was going to come to me. Right? If we ask ourselves questions, then we find those answers. And if you are Christian or believe in the Bible, right, think about things that have become because of situations. One of the first ones that pop in my mind is Joseph, right? He got sold into slavery in Egypt after being put in a well. He got things were going great, and then he gets put in prison. And if he did not experience those things, how many people would have died in the famine that came later? Right? We don't know where the things that we're experiencing right now in our life is leading to, that we benefit from. And so even if we can't think of something right in this exact moment, my child just died, and I am really finding anything to be grateful for, except that I had them in my life. But I can think down the road, right? I can think of, perhaps I have the opportunity to help other families that struggle with this same one. Or because of this, I'm going to meet new people and get to share the joy that I had with my child and that pain of loss. But I'm so grateful for that pain, because what would it mean if I didn't have that pain of loss? That I didn't really care about my child, that she didn't really have a way in my life. And so we can, answer questions we don't really have answers to, but that lead us to think the way we want so that we can feel what we prefer to feel. And so gratitude is so important. And when it comes naturally from us, our children will begin to pick it up. And asking the questions we ask ourselves to help us lead to that gratitude are questions that we can ask our children in a natural, non pointed or expectation way, right? That is the best way we can help develop that gratitude in our children that I have found. And if you find more out there, please feel free to share them, because I love to share and I love to learn. So remember, children are great by their very natures, and we have that privilege and that responsibility to raise.
Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out, and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.